So basically, I help moms who are executives overcome the physical challenges of motherhood. This could range from a weak pelvic floor to a poor posture or anything in between. All right, so let's talk about hip problems. So basically, what I mean is a general term that covers hip pain to arthritis to bursitis to every other problem of the hip. So this is a very generalized video about hip pain. It is not very commonly talked about. However, hip pain is something that many people suffer from. So, how do you know that you have a problem with your hip, or you need to go to the doctor, or if you've been suffering with this and you're wondering if it is actually coming from your hip? Okay, so before we go into the science, where exactly do you feel the hip pain? Right, so you could feel it right on your hip joint, where that long thigh bone comes and connects with your hip joint. So basically, this is my hip joint, and my thigh bone comes and connects in here. So it's a ball and socket joint. So basically, it's the ball on the top of the long thigh bone, and that's the socket in your pelvis. So this is, if you look at your body, it's basically on the side of your thigh. Say if you're wearing trousers, it's at the top of the seam of your trousers, so the side seams of your trouser, it is right on the top there. So that is the hip joint. Sometimes people do also refer to their glutes or their buttocks as hips, so that is why I just thought I'll clarify that. So you might feel pain in the hip itself, in the hip joint itself, or your pain might be in your glutes, your buttocks, or in the front of your thigh, in your groin, side of your thigh, sometimes extending right up to the knee, depending what muscles, ligaments, etc. are involved. It is a very complex structure, this hip joint here. So, because it is quite complicated, sometimes the hip pain can be missed out. So, what are the signs? I'm going to talk about four signs. So, basically, three are quite common. The fourth is more for advanced hip issues. So, the first one is obviously your pain. So, pain is a mechanism by which your body tells you there's something happening in this area of the body and we need some attention on there. So, hip pain, which can range from just a mild soreness to a full blown arthritic pain. Okay, so that's your first sign. Your second sign would be stiffness in your hip. So, you might not notice it 24/7 to start off with. You probably would notice it, say, you are climbing stairs or you're walking for a period of time, or you have been sitting for a bit and then you get up and start to go. You feel a little bit of stiffness. It's not that 100% of that joint mobility that you would feel before you had the hip issue. So, stiffness is another symptom or another sign that you can watch out for. The other one is limping. Now, this would probably come in a little more when you have a long-term issue with the hip, or a complication that causes very fast deterioration of your hip condition, or you have a more serious pathology of the hip. So this is the one where it might or might not be present in the first few signs. Another thing you might feel is you probably won't have the pain or the stiffness that I'm talking about, but you probably have some tenderness. What tenderness means is when you touch your hip, you feel the discomfort. So it's not like a sharp shooting pain, it could be just a discomfort. For example, if I have pain in my right hip and I'm lying on my right side at night, I wake up in the night because I have pain there, or when I start to sleep on my right side, my right hip starts to feel painful. So that is tenderness. That is also a sign of a hip problem there. So the four signs we were talking about, well, the three signs plus one is first is your pain, which could range from mild soreness to a sharp shooting pain, stiffness, which could be 24/7, or it could be just the beginnings of stiffness of the hip. Third is swelling, or oh yeah, swelling is another one. I'll just come back to that. Tenderness in the hip. So basically, when you're lying on that side, or you've been sitting, with a little more inclination towards the affected side, then you might feel the discomfort. And limping. Limping is the one that might or might not present initially when you have a hip issue, depending on what the problem is. Swelling, yes, I was talking about swelling. So swelling may or may not be present along with tenderness. So that's another subjective one. All right, so these are the first few signs of a hip problem. Now, if you suffer from hip pain, it is not the end of the world. Obviously, you can go to your doctor, have it diagnosed, and you can do some self management strategies as well. If you would like to find out more about these self management strategies or any others, um, issues you have, you want to ask me some questions, feel free to join my free community. I will leave a link in the description for those of you watching me on Instagram. The link is in my bio, it says my community. And for those of you who are watching me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or any other platform, the link is in the description below. Alrighty, that was a short video. I hope that was useful. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. If there are any topics that you want me to talk about, uh, send me a message or just get in touch with me, and I will be happy to help you out on those. Alrighty, bye for now, and I'll see you guys next time.